when a massive humpback whale forcefully slapped its tail against the water just a few meters from the researchers' boat. The spray shot higher than the vessel's mast, and their instruments recorded a strange sound signal. The experienced biologists froze, gripping the railings. Never before had they encountered such aggressive behavior from these typically peaceful giants. But when the animal gradually approached and fully surfaced, everyone on board saw the reason for its strange behavior and screamed in horror. The Pacific waters off Northern California's coast were shrouded in a light mist that morning. James Warrens, a marine biologist with 20 years of experience, led a small expedition studying the seasonal migration of humpback whales. For the past 3 years, James's team had meticulously documented the behavior of these majestic creatures, their habits and migration routes. But no one was prepared for the encounter that would forever change their understanding of marine mammal intelligence. The first signs of the whale's unusual behavior appeared around 8 in the morning. A massive shadow underwater, moving too slowly and irregularly for a healthy animal, caught the researchers' attention. We immediately knew something was wrong, recalls Marina, one of the expedition members. Our instruments recorded strange sound signals we'd never heard from humpbacks before. They didn't resemble the usual song, but rather a distress signal. When the whale rose closer to the surface, the team saw the true cause of its strange behavior. Fishing nets, cables, and even a metal chain were wrapped around the majestic animal's body, cutting deeply into its skin and leaving bleeding wounds. A heavy anchor attached to one of the cables was literally dragging the whale down, forcing it to expend colossal effort to rise to the surface to breathe. There was something in the whale's eyes that's difficult to describe in words, says James, recalling the moment their gazes met. It wasn't just pain or fear. It was a conscious call for help, almost human in its expressiveness. In that moment, I realized that before me wasn't just an animal, but a thinking being, aware of its situation and actively seeking a way to survive. The decision to attempt a rescue operation was made instantly, though everyone understood the degree of risk. A humpback whale weighing more than 30 tons, in a stressed state, presents a deadly danger even to experienced divers. One unpredictable movement of its massive tail could instantly end the entire operation and the rescuers' lives. The team faced an extremely difficult dilemma: call a specialized rescue service, which would mean waiting at least 6 hours, or risk trying to free the animal with their own resources. When I looked into those eyes, full of pain and hope, the decision came naturally, says James. I knew the whale might not have those 6 hours. Every minute brought it closer to exhaustion and possibly death. Descending underwater, the rescuers encountered a shocking sight. Metal cables and nets entangled the whale's body like a deadly cocoon. Some ropes had already cut deeply into its flesh, causing infections. The situation with the tail fin looked especially dangerous, where a metal chain had nearly severed the tissues. The team's concerns about possible aggression from the injured animal quickly dissipated. The whale not only showed no signs of hostility, but seemed to consciously control each movement to avoid harming its rescuers. It literally froze when we approached particularly difficult areas, recalls Thomas, one of the divers. And sometimes it even turned in ways that made it easier for us to work on certain body parts. It looked as if it understood each of our actions. 4 hours of exhausting work underwater, balancing on the edge of physical possibility, constant risk. All of this tested the team's endurance. Every centimeter of freed flesh came with tremendous effort. Removing the cables entangled around the whale's mouth proved especially challenging. James had to literally put his hand into the giant animal's mouth to remove a net stuck there, a moment requiring absolute trust from both sides. In that moment, Working inside the whale's mouth, I physically felt the fragility of the boundary between our worlds, James shares. One wrong move on my part or panic from the whale, and the result would have been tragic for both of us. But something amazing happened. The whale not only allowed me to work, but seemed to try to help, carefully lifting its tongue when necessary. When the final cable was cut and the heavy anchor separated from the tortured body, the moment of truth arrived. For the first time in who knows how long, the whale had freedom of movement. The team expected the freed animal to immediately swim away, eager to leave the site of its suffering. But something happened that transformed the team's understanding of the intelligence and emotional depth of these ocean giants. Instead of swimming away, the whale began circling the rescuer's boat, performing graceful movements that biologists interpret as expressions of joy. Then came the most amazing part. The whale slowly approached James, who was suspended in the water, and carefully touched him with its enormous body. This wasn't random contact, James is certain. The whale deliberately approached and very gently, almost weightlessly, touched me with its fin. And then it looked directly into my eyes. And in that gaze was something that can only be interpreted as conscious gratitude. This encounter continued for about 20 more minutes. The whale was in no hurry to leave its rescuers, as if giving them an opportunity to savor this unique moment of unity between such different beings. Finally, performing what resembled a farewell circle around the boat, the marine giant slowly descended into the ocean depths. This story is a reminder that in the ocean depths exist creatures capable not only of experiencing pain and suffering, but also of showing gratitude and, perhaps, emotions we tend to consider exclusively human. And maybe it is in this recognition of kinship among all living beings that lies the key to a more careful attitude toward our planet and its amazing inhabitants.